Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. It has been 2 weeks, 2 weeks since I've done a video. If any of you saw my community post when I canceled last week, you know that someone attempted to break into my car last Sunday. And so I spent all of Sunday dealing with the police and trying to put my car back together. Basically what happened is they took the casing off my steering column and they got to the ignition and they broke off kind of what's the tumbler of the ignition so that you can fit pretty much anything like a screwdriver, whatever, into my ignition. Sorry, there's a lot of glare on my glasses. Into my ignition so that they could start the car without the key. It was a whole thing, right? It's incredibly annoying because I'm now dealing with my insurance company, which, by the way, if you've ever gone through this, you will know that the insurance company, if it's not actually stolen, then it goes to vandalism, which is a very different deductible and not, it's a lot. It's a lot of hassle. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on. We're going to talk about that later though. I'm running late because I just had to get a cup of coffee. I'm kind of half asleep today. So there we go. So in the past 2 weeks, I did work on existing patterns from the 80s, as I have been talking about. But I actually have quite a few patterns this week that I've accumulated over the last 2 weeks. So we're going to start. Let's first look at just the patterns that are actually from the 80s that I already had. There's only a couple of them in here. We'll get them over with because there were only, there were only a couple. Yeah, that's, I think that was it. Wow. Yeah. Wow. There's this many. That's kind of crazy, right? And before I even get started, let's just talk briefly. You know, I always talk about things I find in patterns. I found this in one of the patterns. Here's the envelope. Yeah, still had the envelope. And very sweet, right? Never written in. It's hard to see. You see, there we go. That focus a little better. Very cute. Very 1970s. You know, I never know what to do with this stuff. I just end up keeping it all. I have so much like little ephemera paper around because I keep getting all this stuff. So, all right. So unfortunately, some of these patterns I had to put in plastic because like this one, you can see a lot of pattern. So we'll see if we can take the envelope out because it's a lot of glare. So it is Butterick. And it is a pattern. It's Head Sportswear. Now, I don't know if you guys remember Head, but they made rackets, tennis rackets. I think they made golf clubs too. Maybe even more than that. Did they make, I don't know. Did they make basketballs? Anybody out there? Let me know. It is the original athleisure pattern. Yeah, look at that. It's like the hoodie, the skirt, the pants. You can do it as a vest, the whole point. But like, yeah. So it was partially cut. And let's talk for a minute about partially cut patterns and cut patterns. I could have done a lot more patterns this week, but I didn't. And there's a simple reason. I'm starting to get to the point now with Etsy. I actually ripped this bag. I'm going to have to get a new bag. I'm getting to the point with Etsy where some weeks I'm paying more in fees than I'm actually making, which brings up the good question, which is it worth it to put like a 1980s pattern that's cut and counted up because they really don't sell that well. 1940s, 1950s, even 1960s patterns, cut, uncut, partially cut, they all sell. But some patterns are not going to sell. Like I have, I'm going to take my glasses off because the glare is bothering me. I have patterns from the 90s and the early 2000s that are cut that I've never put online. And I probably will not put them online until, I don't know, until it's 2030 and a pattern from 2000 is actually 30 years old because there's no point to it. No one's going to buy the pattern. People really want vintage stuff, and the vintage patterns, they're willing to buy a cut and counted pattern from the 1960s, but not so much from the 1980s. So this brought up a dilemma for me: is do I put all these cut counted patterns up online, and like, how do I decide which ones to put up? So what I've been doing for now is I have been going in and finding any patterns that I already have posted, especially patterns that are uncut and factory folded, where the photo wasn't so great. And I've been rephotographing them, and I've been putting them back up online. And I've been kind of weeding out patterns that obviously, have been around for years and have never sold. And some of them are 1980s patterns that are cut and counted, and 90s patterns that are cut, and counted, because they just don't sell. They just don't sell as well. So I kind of have a dilemma going on right there. So I think what I'm going to start to do is put the cut and counted patterns all together. Like all the size 12s from the 1980s will all go up online, all the dresses or skirts or whatever. But that means a huge overhaul to my Etsy shop, which you guys may notice if you ever go and hang out there. But like, here's a perfect example. Great jacket, right? Looked it up, brand new. I think it's a $6 pattern. I mean, it's a very 80s bomber jacket. Does anybody really, who knows if anybody really wants to buy that? It's up online, but I'm on the fence about it. This one, on the other hand, I think we've already had this one and sold it. So this is up there. It's the Veils. Yeah, I had to. I mean, look at that. Talk about a thick pattern. They only cut like one little small veil. The big veil pieces that were all in here were uncut and still folded. And there, I mean, and wait, there was the piece for the bow. Let me see if I can find the picture. Oh, here it is. The piece for the bow, that was uncut. So yeah, that went up online. But again, I have to weigh, is this going to sell? Is this not going to sell? And if it does sell, is it going to take like 100 years to sell, right? All right, then we came to talk about patterns that I don't know if are actually going to sell. I put all of these up together. So this is this indie pattern company. Here, I'll take them out of the plastic. They're almost not worth taking out of the plastic. They're so ugly. Okay, so the name of the company, it's an indie pattern company, Dates Designs, right? And this is what they do. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm sorry about the glare. Actually, it's Patterns Plus, and then this, I think this was a side project of theirs, because I have all the pattern instructions actually say Patterns Plus on them. And they're an indie pattern company, and they had, you can tell that they're an indie pattern company because they have like, there's the picture of the front, and there's the picture of the back. Here's the picture of the front, and here's the picture of the back. These are so butt ugly. But you know what? I put them all together. I can't say anything about this because even though I think these are ugly, you'd be shocked. Somebody go buy these. Now, I'm hoping they're buying them for Halloween costumes, because all right, this one's not so bad, but this one, like, really? Come on, honey. Come on. Right? So that was about all I got done of patterns that I actually already owned. The rest of the patterns we're going to look at today are patterns that I picked up while I was out and about. And there are two distinct sets. So let's start with, let's set the Wayback Machine. And we're going to go back to some patterns that I found at Goodwill a couple weeks ago, and we'll go through them. So here's this one here, which is a McCall's pattern. The sticker from Goodwill is now stuck to the plastic bag. All right, there we go. So it was cut. It was only partially cut. The scoop neck view was cut, whereas that more square view was uncut. Very 90s, very, very 90s kind of dress, right? I mean, I had a dress like this in the 90s. I don't know why we wanted to cover our legs so much in the 90s, but we really did. You know, and it wasn't so much that they were maxis. They were like just really long. They weren't specifically to the ground like a maxi dress. They were just very, very long. So that was one of the ones I got from Goodwill. I also got this one. Very cute, right? Christmas angel. It's a nativity scene. And if you look closely at it, it's not a regular sewing pattern. They show you how to make it with like felt and these other things, which I thought was kind of cool because not everybody can sew. So having a pattern like that, where it's not so much a sewing pattern, but it's like gives you the directions to make it out of felt and whatever, kind of a cool thing. This, yeah, oh boy. Yeah, some unisex 90s separates. So we had, yeah, we have, is that a tie? Wait, is that? Oh, it's just a tie for the jacket. Okay, it's not a necktie. Oh no, it is a necktie. It is a necktie. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. It's a necktie. Yeah, this pattern is, can't decide what it is. It's both business and casual, but not quite business casual, right? This pattern was in there. This was kind of weird to me. This was cut, but all the pieces were there, and it is yet another Barbie pattern. It does not have any line drawings on the back, sorry, but like lots of Barbie clothes. These were all 1980. This was a 1980s pattern. I think this is one. Yeah, this you can actually use this for your Brooke Shields doll or your Donnie and Marie doll. Yeah, I know. Berta pattern, never used. Really cute. Probably late 80s or early 90s. You know, kids separates. And then there was this. This was kind of strange. This was a very strange grouping of patterns because you had stuff like this, right? This is the actual instructions for this trunk. There's no line drawings on the back. And then I also had the pattern for this doll and her clothes. So I grouped them together and I put them together as a lot because I thought if anybody's going to get this, they're going to want this as a lot. I got an indie pattern. Oops, sorry, it's in plastic. Let me take out plastic. Got this indie pattern from, now I have another one of these, the same company. It's called Pink Sand Beach Designs. And it's the same thing. It's a pattern for a handbag. I don't know if they do anything besides handbags. You guys could probably tell me, but this is the London City bag. And it's uncut, unused. That's why I'm saying this bunch of patterns that I got was like all over the place. It was like, you know, a handbag pattern and some kids' clothes and a doll and some women's clothes. And it was like, so I don't know whose stash got cleaned out, but we had this pattern. Whoop. Hold on. We had this pattern, new look, basic, late 90s, new look. Just really basic. Again, I had to put it in plastic. Look how huge that is. It's 2 complete pieces. It's a big pattern. So I had to put it in some plastic after I went through it just to make sure that it was, you know, all there because it was so many pieces. And I think this is the old new look before they were owned by Simplicity because they're owned by Simplicity now. And hey, in this lot of patterns, there was pillow patterns. Yeah. Very, very 90s, right? Very, does anybody else remember the French country trend? Remember that? Remember that design trend, French country? And more children's patterns, because you know how much I love those. Yeah. And what are these called? These are called mouse feathers. So found this online. Of course, all these like strange children's patterns that have these names and everything, they actually sell for quite a bit of cash, even though I don't sell a whole lot of kids patterns. There was this super cool Vogue pattern, and I'm not even, this is worth, I couldn't believe how much money this is worth. Now it is really cool. Look at it. It's a soft book for kids. And it has all this stuff in it. And then it's got transfers in it so you can put their name on it. I mean, it is a super cool pattern, but I was a little shocked when I saw how much it actually goes for online. There was this Vogue Attitudes pattern. Thought it was pretty cute. And it was, and if you look closely, it's by that, remember that designer that I said I had never heard of? Yep, here's another pattern buyer. I'm actually wondering if these patterns were left over from that other group of patterns that I got that had all those Vogues in it, just because I can't imagine two people having that Adri designer patterns. There was this. Yep. Stretch and sew. And Person, I guess is the way it's pronounced. One of her patterns. And then last but not least, this isn't really a pattern, but it was so weird. I bought a bunch of craft, and they were craft kits. And in the craft kit was this. Ooh. Shockingly, this is made in Japan. I know you're all shocked by that. It is just a book on how to crochet and knit, but very, very odd, very much made in Japan. It's I looked it up. It was apparently from the early 80s. So, but just a kind of the cover is what did me in. Something super creepy about that cover, right? I mean, it's a creepy cover. It really is. All right. So then I went to Goodwill and they didn't really have anything. But I did find a couple of unusual craft items. And this one, I don't usually show you guys all the craft because, it's so much. I get so many craft kits, right? But this one was one that when I saw it, I was just like, oh my God, I have to show them this. It is Hummel. Yes, Sister Hummel. It is a Hummel craft kit, and it's still in the original packaging, which isn't doing so well, but it's like that plastic faux wood frame. You can collect all four. I have this is Peasant Boy. You can collect all four, and it is a embroidery, needlework, crewel, whatever. It comes with the yarn. See the yarn in the corner there? Yep. This thing's from like 1975. The fact that it's never been opened, that to me, that alone was like just bizarre, right? Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Quick story. I had an appointment with an allergist on Tuesday. Why is that important to you? Well, because I'm probably going to be taking some time off from the channel because when I went to see this allergist, she kind of diagnosed me. Somebody's saying hi and I don't have my glasses on. Hello, Evangeline. How are you? When I saw this allergist, she diagnosed me with something that's known as mast cell activation syndrome. I'm going for blood work tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow from school because it's Columbus Day, or as I like to call it, Indigenous Persons Day. And it is going to involve me having to go back and having patch tests done to figure out what the heck I'm allergic to. So I will be taking some time off from the channel. So I don't know when I'm going to be back. The problem is I have such a backlog, and I'd like to really be able to show you guys a fair amount of patterns instead of just dribs and drabs here and there. And also the issue with the car is much more involved than I feel like it should be. But like tomorrow, I'm taking my car to a Kia dealership. I'm getting up early and I'm getting my blood work, and then I'm driving to a Kia dealership so they can look at the ignition and give me a quote. Because it's vandalism, I have to meet a $750 deductible before the insurance company will kick in, which means when I'm at Kia tomorrow, this whole process of fixing this, I'm sorry, I keep pointing at my car because it's right in front of me outside, might be less than $750, which means I don't even really need to involve the insurance company, but I did involve the insurance company and now I'm kind of stuck with them. And you can't back out once you start with them, right? Well, they don't know if their adjuster can even come out to the Kia dealership tomorrow to look at the, so I'm like, great. Well, I don't even know if I need you people. But while I was at the allergist, she lives near she has her office near a very large thrift store that I don't go to very often because they very seldom have patterns. And they are called Red, White, and Blue Thrift. But I stopped there this week, and guess what I found? That's right, patterns. So it was only like 6 of them, but still very interesting. And they were these bag patterns from Simplicity. And all these, the next 4 patterns I'm going to show you were all brand new. They were all in really great shape. I mean, they were really brand new. Like, to me, they seem like, I don't know, like the person bought them and just put them in a drawer, because no one would do that, right? No one would buy a pattern and think, I'm going to make that and then put it in a drawer and not make it, right? So yeah, I got a deal on all of these. And in that set of patterns, there was this one. Yeah. More Cabbage Patch. And on this one, the only thing that was cut actually was that pinafore you see on the front. So, and then there was this. I'm going to take it out of the plastic. This was kind of an odd one. But, you know, I feel like I'm the queen of odd patterns because I'm always finding odd patterns. So it's by McCall's, but it's an Avon pattern. And it's for all of these ornaments, right? And the Christmas stocking. So the only thing cut on this was the Christmas stocking, the cuff piece, and the apple and the little Christmas stocking ornament. And it has unused blue transfers. And I was like, wow, okay. For, I guess, embroidery. I guess if you want to do embroidery, I'm assuming that's what you're doing with it. But like the pieces for the placemat and all the other stuff, uncut. Only one problem with this pattern, or it would already be up online. It has no directions. So I'm putting it aside in a bag like this because I'm curious if at some point in time I'm going to find this same pattern, maybe cut up, no transfers, with the directions. So I can then make a complete pattern. And that's about it. So I know this was a fairly short video. What was it? It was only 20 minutes or so. Because I have been trying to work on patterns, but I've just had so much else going on. So I will be taking a break. I don't know when I'm coming back. And I only say that because I really don't know what all is going to be entailed with taking care of this car, because I got to get it fixed. I can start the car. My nephew put it back together, put the casing back on, and I can start the car, but it's probably not something I should really be doing on a regular basis, because you can really feel the play in the ignition when you put the key in. I have to figure out what's going on with my health, because that's really the bigger issue, is what is going on with my health. So I'm going to be getting lots of blood work done and lots of testing done, and we're going to try and figure out what that is. In the meantime, I'm just very tired, which is part of probably what's going on with the mast cell activation. I also have to visit my oncologist. I have to visit my regular doctor. I visited the podiatrist, and she fitted me for orthotics. Yes, I feel so old about that. That's worse than anything else, is that feeling of being so old and being like, I can't wear shoes I like anymore. I have to wear shoes that can take an orthotic. And why do they have to be so ugly? I mean, I found the most reasonably attractive ones that I could possibly find online, but most of these shoes are butt ugly. It's like, do you try and make them ugly? Is there someone sitting in a lab that's like, oh, you need orthotics, here's your ugly shoes? Like, you can't make them slightly better looking. So we'll see. But I just have all of this stuff going on. And some weeks, some days more specifically, I get home and I don't want to deal with patterns. I'm tired. I'm a little burnout. I'm tired because it involves me standing, digging through things, ironing, doing all that stuff. And I just get exhausted and worn out. So I am going to take a little break. I will be back though. And I mean, I do have patterns that I'm working on. So I'm going to figure all this out. I'm going to figure out what I want to do with cut and counted patterns and what I want to do with partially cut patterns, because that's the other problem. Even some patterns I have that are partially cut, they're not worth much. You know, they're just not, you know. Oh, thank you, Pamela. Um, yeah, you know, I just gotta take a little time and figure out this mast cell activation thing. I'm just learning about it, but basically, what I can tell you about it is it's kind of like instead of getting a little allergic reaction like normal people would get to like hay fever, right? Like normal stuff. Like I know that I'm allergic to pollen. I already know that. Um, my body goes, if I do have it, because we're not sure that I have it, my body goes nuts, right? My body's like, you know, man the torpedoes. Other people's bodies like are like, we'll drop some histamine, our nose will run, it'll all be good. My body's like, you know, all hands on deck, man the torpedoes, we're going to war. And but it's exhausting. Like I was talking to the doctor about it and said, I'm just tired all the time. And she's like, yeah, it's because your body is like sick all the time, even though technically you're not really sick. And I'm like, wow, wow. Thank you, Pam. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. I will be back, ladies. I'm not going to completely disappear. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my time. When I get like a whole bunch of patterns, I'll decide that, you know, I'll let you guys know on a Thursday in the community tab that I'm going to do a show and you know, I'll show you what I've been working on. But I'm going to have to proceed much slower than I have been in the past. I mean, when you think about it, I've been doing a show every week for at least a year. And with only a couple detours, mostly I've been working on Mrs. Landis's patterns, right? So, you know, you know, we got through all of her uncut patterns. So now I'm getting into the other stuff, the stuff that she made only one piece out of and things like that. So we're getting there, but I will be back. I just am not sure when. But I will let you guys know as soon as I know. And what'll probably happen is I'm going to work on patterns a little slower. So like I said, when I get a bunch of patterns, when I get 30, 40 patterns, I'll like, you know, figure out if that's a good weekend for me to sit down and do a little pattern talk. And only like a very small amount of people just got that joke. But those of you that got it, remember, right? Remember that? Yeah, I hope I'm not allergic to patterns either. You know, it's funny that you say that because I do encounter patterns that have mildew on them. And I've never really had a reaction to them. But is it a possibility that I am reacting to it and I don't realize it? Like, is the pattern sitting in my house and it's releasing the mildew spores and I'm reacting to it and I don't even know it because the pattern's sitting in another room? It's something to think about. Not to mention, we all know, any of us that sew know, when you get these older patterns, even when they're well cared for, they have a very specific smell, right? And it is the breakdown of the chemicals in the inks and dyes that are used on the instructions. It's the breakdown of the, if it's a photo or an illustration, it's the envelope. We all know this, right? This is what causes the discoloration of patterns, all of this. Could that also be causing me to be allergic? It's a very interesting thing to think about. I'm thinking about getting an air cleaner machine. My biggest issue between you, me, and the wall, Pamela, is actually this apartment complex. I have lived here for 5 years. I've never seen them do anything with any of the ductwork. No one has ever come by and like sucked all the dirt out of the ductwork. My carpet is the original carpet that was here for 10 years before I moved in. They did not give me new carpet when I moved in. So little things like that may actually be the problem. I'm actually thinking that my apartment's making me sick. So I might have to move, but I can't really afford too many other places. So I will keep you posted, you know, but so until next time, I hope that wherever you guys are, that you're doing well and that you're feeling okay. I will be back. I'm not sure when, but I will keep you posted. I will absolutely put something in the community tab telling you that I'm going to do a little show on Sunday. And until then, I'm probably going to continue to do the Goodwill Tuesdays because that's a pretty easy thing for me to do. It only takes a couple minutes. And I keep hitting up Goodwill to see if they have any patterns. And, you know, I've actually scored some patterns, which is good. Not to mention, I got this. Yeah. Not creepy at all. It is just so creepy. It's the big-eyed doll thing, and she's scary, right? Anyway, So I will keep doing the Goodwill Tuesday thing so you guys will know I'm alive. And until next time, stay well. If any holidays occur in between, have a happy holiday. And until then, thank you so much for all your support over the years. And until next time, I will see you guys. Stay well and keep in the sunshine. Okay. Bye.